Hello and welcome to the Potomac Local Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Uriah Kiser, founder and publisher of Potomac Local News. Joining us on the podcast today is Delegate Ian Lovejoy. I know you're a fan of eating out. Like me, if you're like me, you love having a nice dinner out.
Absolutely.
You know, and this story comes to us from the Prince William Times, and I'm so excited about this story because we have been waiting for this headline. I'll say I've been waiting for 20 years because, and I'll tell you why. I'll go into that magic number here in a bit.
This is Bucky's level excitement.
Yeah. If you've been following Bucky's, I mean, I'm actually more excited about this than well, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about Bucky's, but at any rate, Great American Restaurants announced that they are coming to Gainesville in 2027. So what is Great American Restaurants, do you ask? If you've ever been to Sweetwater Tavern, if you've ever been to Mike's American, if you've ever been to any of those restaurants that have traditionally been in Fairfax County, in Northern Virginia, for Arlington, those places closer into D.C. Now there is one coming to Prince William County in Gainesville. It'll be located at 14100 Whitney Road. It'll be a about 16,000 square foot property, restaurant with patio. This building that they're going to raise to build this restaurant is the old VDOT building that was there. You might remember years ago, VDOT came in and they built this, what we have today, this single point urban interchange over at Linton Hall and Route 29 and over the railroad track and over the river and through the woods in Gainesville. And VDOT used this old building as their headquarters for that project. Well, VDOT's been done with that project for many, many years now. And the building has sat empty. I believe at one point it was an old bank. So it looks like they're going to raise it, and we're going to get our first Great American Restaurant. The question is, which one?
That's a great question. I would just say as a point of background, I, as a younger man, was an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce, and I was at the ribbon cutting for that bank. So I can't tell you how young it makes me feel to now see it become derelict and be on the verge of being razed to the ground. So that really makes me feel great this afternoon. I'm for anything. You know, these guys are great. The folks who own this is, make Gainesville great, America great again. This is let's do it. It's wonderful because one, you're getting rid of that eyesore. I mean, it's the kind of building kids are daring each other to go into at night. Two, who doesn't like any of the restaurants in the Great American chain? Sweetwater's would be wonderful. I'll take anything they've got. I mean, I think they're unifying forces, Aussie Rolls, across all of them. So
amen. That's you nailed it. That's it. Yeah. I don't care whether I'm at Coastal Flats or Mike's American or Sweetwater. Those Aussie Rolls, which are little bits of fried donut put into this bread basket with a bunch of other crap that you don't want, right? They make it look nice. Yeah. But really, you want the Aussie Rolls. That's what you want. And if you've never had this delicacy, you will eat one and you were like, where have you been all my life? What have I been doing with my life? I'm not the person I thought I was.
I was at an event at Patty's, which is another Great American restaurant, weeks and weeks ago, and they had catered it. It was inside of Patty's, one of their big dining rooms, and there was obviously their food catered in the back. And someone was asking questions about the food, and some gentleman was like, "Oh, like kind of a stranger, just was like, oh, that's salmon, and that's mushrooms, and that's done into this sauce, and that's done into this sauce." And I was like, this guy really knows his Great American restaurant food. And then later, he was introduced as one of the owners of the entire franchise. So I was like, okay, I get why you understand the food so
that is so. That is interesting you say that because so I said 20 years ago, and 20 years ago I was between jobs. I was looking for work. I was out of work, and so I was making a change in careers, if you will. And I was hired by the Great American Restaurant Company, fine company they are, to come work in their Centerville Sweetwater Tavern. Yeah. And I had done restaurant work before, and it's come in and here's the menu and try not to forget it. And, be nice and be upbeat, and people will tip you and you'll make a little bit of money and you'll be fine. If we really like you, we might put you behind the bar if we can trust you, if we like you. But here the first 2 weeks of training were inside of a corporate boardroom, eating, just going around and tasting all the different food and studying the menus and looking at presentation and how to dress yourself and how to greet properly. And I mean, it was unlike anything that I had ever seen in the restaurant business. And of course, you know, I've worked at a couple different restaurants, and none of them were ever at the level of the Great American Restaurant. And so that when they say Great American, that's why they're great.
And, you know, they clearly love what they do, and it's a regional chain, so they're not so big it's corporatized, but they're not so small that they can't do a diversity of things. I guess Sweetwater might be their most prolific brand, so maybe it's a sweet. I have no insider information, but I mean, I will take anything. I'm only disappointed that it's going to take over a year.
Yeah, well, yeah, and while we wait, now we also have news, and this story comes from to us from Cher Music at the Prince William Times, and Cher has been all over the Gainesville restaurant scene in the past few weeks, because she's not only broken this story, but also the story of the Silver Diner that will replace out of the blue in Gainesville, literally just across the street from where this Great American Restaurant is set to go. So. Look, Silver Diner is another one of those restaurants that has changed over the years. You know, we just had one open up in Fredericksburg this time last year in Central Park, and I believe that is they're a Maryland-based chain. So the one in Fredericksburg in Central Park is their most furthest, southernmost outpost, if you will. But I remember as a kid going to the Silver Diner at Potomac Mills, and it was a greasy spoon. I mean, they had all the gravy, the grits, the sausage, the bacon, and you went there and and over the years they have transformed into this different type of diner where they have fresh fish and vegetables and salads and it's kind of anything but. They've sort of shed that greasy spoon feel for something much better, in my opinion, however much more expensive. It's not, you know, it's not cheap.
I had the greatest drunken ribeye of my life at a Silver Dollar, and I went on a lark, had the drunken ribeye. I thought it was a menu staple. Foolish of me. 2 weeks later, I go back because I'm like, I need to have this drunken ribeye again. And that was chef special. That was like a one-off. And I literally would call them periodically to be like, when is this thing coming back? And I missed it. It never came back. And to this day, I am like seeking out the drunken ribeye that I had this one time 8 years ago. But yeah, everything they do well. I think it speaks heavily to there's a good scene brewing in that Gainesville corridor. On Lynn Hall Road, Atlas Walk, and the like. I mean, you've got some really cool things over there. The Trummer's Wine and Coffee Bar, of course. I mean, you've got
a cool place. Yes,
very cool place. Very small, very boutique, but you have that nice mix of corporate shops, which everyone, you know, who doesn't like a Firebirds and who doesn't like an Uncle Julio's now and again. But if you want, you've got the local stuff, the local and regional flair, and it works in there. I'm glad to see Two Lejoux has been backfilled. Spent too much time at Two Lejoux. It was just out of this world pastry stuff. And so, you know, they moved out, and so you've got Shotted moving in, which is, you know, pastry and coffee, and so that's nice. And so nothing stays vacant long. So we're happy to see that the churn there is good. The diversity of food options there is great, and it's only 15 minutes from my house, so it's a dangerous temptation to spend a lot of time over there.
Yeah, no, I think regular is the word for you, and it sounds like you chased the drunken ribeye at Silver Diner like I chased the McRib at McDonald's. It's kind of
it doesn't show up on DoorDash. Like that was I was like, I'm gonna McRib it. I know it's out. They made no secret that the McRib was back. Tried to order it on DoorDash and could not. So I'm not quite prepared to make a trip in.
Well, speaking of making a trip on the McRib, and I'll be honest, I have not had a McRib this year. They come back around this time. I have not had one, but I have not seen them on. I have a 5-year-old daughter, so I'm periodically going through the McDonald's drive-through line. Trust me. But I have not seen the McRib on the McDonald's menu in our area. But we were in Williamsburg 2 weeks ago, and there it was. The Williamsburg folks were having McRib, and I don't think Northern Virginians are eating McRib.
That must be it, because my impression was that it's back, and it's back everywhere, but evidence to the contrary, I don't know that it's actually back in Northern Virginia at the moment.
Yeah, no McRib for you. No.
Well, the animal they make it out of went extinct. So there's probably
It's your new
Simpsons.
AI friendly McRib. It's
that's
new.
a Simpsons joke. So don't sue me, Fox. But